Disney's Planes. Okay, I haven't even talked about the Cars movies yet, but they're pretty decent. They're pretty great. Unlike the movie I'm about to review right now, like someone I know, of a sure disappointment face. So let's get this shit over with. Planes. I remember watching this movie back then when I was younger. And those of you already watched this movie before, let me sum it up to you. But you heard in every cliche, those of you already watched the first Cars movie. It pretty much is a decent way of having a hero being the main focus. That Lightning McQueen was a likable character. They have like perfect emotional moments. They look like they have reasonable, decent scenery. They know how to be like reasonable human beings. Unlike this movie, here it is. They're just airplanes. They're just lifeless airplanes that have not much emotional scenes. They look like toys. I'll just make the story plain and simple. The story's about Rusty, and there's like a bit of a problem that he's afraid of heights. And then he has to become like the world's greatest airplane flyer of all time. But he can't do that, and he has to conquer his fear, and he has to get a coach to make sure he conquers his fear. And there's like this typical bully that you've seen before in the Cars movie. This is kind of a rip-off out of the same idea from this film, and milk out the franchise. Believe it or not, they did a sequel to this movie. I wish I was making that up. They actually did a second movie compared to this. And there's like this guy, and that he also has a tragic past, and to make sure it doesn't take for me this long to review this movie, and there's like him having horrible tragic past, and there's like a war going on, and they all get blown up, and then death scenes, for kids. I mean, holy crap, this is some dark stuff here, man. And yet this movie existed. Sure, there was like car characters, but there's like these other objects are alive. This one basically rips off the movie Cars. There was like cars back there too, but they almost have nothing to do with this movie whatsoever. This movie goes on and on and on. It feels like it goes on way too long, and they do like this endless chatting and so on. So far, they're just airplanes. There's like the scene where they crash into the water. It doesn't know how it works. Or that they just can't swim, and because they don't have any arms or legs, so yes, it just works like that. This is just them being airplanes that just have the same movements. I mean, Doug was right about this movie. It just seems almost unreasonably not really a great film. Sure, the animation looks a little bit decent, but sometimes it's a little bit bland at times. It just seems like there's no reason for this movie to exist. They just had to cough out the dough, and this is what we got. They just have like the same idea as Cars. It's just not much else to say. It's just that this film existed. It just wants to make sure they want to cough out another one, and this is what we get. That Rusty has to conquer his fear and become the greatest air racer of all time. Going around the world. Sure, the animation budget they went to looks fine, but I just kind of fall asleep because they do like this endless round of dialogue that goes on for a long time. There's also this flyer flower, because get it? They're airplanes. And I'm not gonna make this review on longer as it seems, but it's incredible this film is made. It doesn't even feel like a Pixar film. I'm not kidding, even though it's done by the same company. It just felt like the writers and producers had nothing to do with this movie whatsoever. Or because it's a freaking movie with airplanes. They move exactly the bloody same. Did I forget to mention they made a video game of this? Because they want to make more money off them. It drives me freaking insane that they had to make another bloody game off of the franchise of Cars. I mean, those are people that reviewed that this movie existed at this timeline is really, in the word for it, beyond belief that this sucker needs to be made in the first place. Much else is saying that they just air race these turds like that. So if I were you, I'd rather be putting this on for little kids, just to entertain them for a while. But for us teenagers, we really want to not be part of this one whatsoever. I mean, we're just going around circles here. This is just what they did in the first place on why they should not make more than one of these ones, or a second one. I mean, that's it. This is just a plain simple story that you just seen before. So, yes. Or even like a ship, really is alignment. It doesn't look like he has a mouth either, but it seems like it's a balance of the ship. And there's these other field goals, and you wish he would just tip them over like that. Alright. I had to let that all out of my system. But seriously, who in their right there I think this would be a good thing to have this one have its own franchise. I would not complain that Cars, the movie, would not be one of my favorite ones, but at least it had some good emotional scenes. So this one has like motionless characters, and that have great celebrities that would not even be as perfect as they seem. I mean, those of you who really like this movie, good. Those of you who do not like this film, do yourself a favor and probably just watch this movie once or twice and never watch it ever again on how dull and lifeless it can be. At least Cars 1 and 2 was slightly better. I love those movies, and the third one, I would say, fly the hell away from this one. You won't remember much of it whatsoever. So I'll see you guys in the next Disney review, because I'm only going to do like 9 more. No. You know what? 8 more of these, and that's it. I won't be doing any more Disney movies by then, because we'll be running out of them pretty soon. So we're speaking. See you on the next review.